In this video, we are going to look at why sorry is killing your career. How, when we say sorry, when we don't need to say sorry, it impacts on our self-confidence. It really undermines our self-worth. It degrades your potential and it lowers your status. And when we add all those three things together, it ultimately has a massive negative impact on your career. I was in London this week and I was rushing around on the tube and somebody banged into me. Absolutely their fault, really knocked me, kind of really made me stumble. And what did I do? I turned around, I looked at them and I went, "Oh, I'm so sorry." It absolutely wasn't my fault. I was knocked into, I wasn't the person knocking into someone else, and I apologized. I later on that day was in a restaurant. I heard someone say, "Oh, I'm so sorry, but my steak isn't cooked properly." They were apologizing for somebody else not fulfilling their food order correctly. How many times do we apologize? "I'm so sorry I'm late," for all those kinds of things that actually don't need apologizing for. Now, don't get me wrong. There are absolutely times when we do need to apologize, when we have done something that has upset or hurt somebody else. We do need to apologize then. But as women, we apologize for so many things that we don't need to apologize for. But why? Why do we do that? It's partly to do with socialization, right? We're humans, we're tribal creatures. We know we need to interact with other people. We know we need to interact and stay within our tribe. Ostracization from our tribe is really difficult. So that means we need to be agreeable within the group. So if we feel that we have upset someone else, we want to apologize. There's an added layer for women called feminine modesty, which is this concept of, needing to keep the group particularly close, needing to be agreeable within the group, which really makes us very, very willing to apologize when actually we don't need to apologize. The problem with apologizing when we don't need to apologize is the act of apologizing creates a mindset, and that mindset impacts on our body and our breath. So what happens when we apologize is that we drop our eyes. "Oh, I'm so sorry." We look at the person, "I'm so sorry," and then we drop our eyes. We also have a tendency to slightly drop our heads and slightly curve our spines. All of that body language is low status body language. You might even occasionally step backwards away from, "Oh, I'm so sorry," and we step back and we step away. That body language is unconsciously signaling to the other person, "I'm lower status than you are, you're higher status than me." Now, because we have such a strong mind-body link, so what our body is doing, our mind starts thinking about, what we think about, our body starts doing, because that connection is so strong within us. What happens when we take up that low status body language is that our mind moves to low status mindset. Our language choices become low status. So we've got this low status body, we've got this low status mindset. And what it does is it chips away at our confidence and it chips away at our self-worth. So every time we say sorry for something that we don't need to say sorry for, we take a little chunk out of our self-worth. We take a little chunk out of our confidence. And so when situations arise that may be similar, we go in already prepared in low status body language, low status thoughts and language choices. If we think about the research by Amy Cuddy, she talks about low status body postures for those going into interviews, and how if we sit in this low status position, so spine crumpled, arms wrapped around ourselves, which is an exaggeration of the low body posture that I'm talking about when we apologize, the impact over time is it actually changes your blood chemistry. It makes you feel less and less confident. Now, if you look at that from the outside, so from people who are looking in, what they see is low status body language. They see low status language, so the words that we choose to use. They see that all as low status confidence. And it reads as, "I don't think that much of myself, so it's okay." It gives the other person permission to think that you're not that much either. And so our potential, the potential that we have to move our career forward, gets lowered. that sense of perceived competence, which I've talked about many, many times, this idea that there's a relationship between how we show up with our bodies, our breath, our voice, the language that we choose, how we speak, and how competent others perceive us. There's this very strong relationship. So the more confident your body language is, the more the higher your perceived competence is. The lower your body language and language choices are, the lower your perceived competence. So every time we say sorry when we don't need to, we're actually giving an opportunity for the rest of the group to lower their perceived competence of us. So what can we do instead, right? Sometimes, absolutely, if it's necessary to apologize, totally apologize. But what are the things that we don't need to apologize? So that example of, oh, can I just grab you for 5 minutes? I just need to talk about, I'm so sorry, I know you're busy. That kind of interaction is, I'd love to talk to you about X. Shall we book a time in the diary? Shall we grab 5 minutes now? Can you see how shall we is so much more powerful than may I just grab you for 5 minutes? You can see the tendency immediately as I say those to kind of make yourself smaller. So rather than if you are late for something, and we're all late for things all the time, sometimes it is beyond our control. Rather than, I'm so sorry, there was an accident and I couldn't get here on time and then I couldn't find, but thanks for waiting. Such a different kind of status. Or even, I appreciate your patience on this. I know this has taken longer than you may have wanted it to. If you do bump into somebody, rather than like, oh, I'm so sorry, it's like, no, after you. Any way that we can find to make the status between ourselves and other people as equal as possible, as often as possible, it is much more likely to raise your perceived credibility, your perceived competence. Every time we apologize, it dinks our self-confidence, it dinks our self-worth, it impacts on our body, our breath, and our voice choices. And that slowly but surely will diminish the perceived competence that everybody else has in you. So we want to be finding ways to elevate our body language, elevate our language that equalizes the status between those in the room and ourselves. That's it for today. I hope you have found this really useful, this video. If you do, please like, please subscribe. And if you know any woman out there who apologizes too much for things that are not her fault, please do share this video with her. Take care, and I'll speak to you really soon. Bye for now.